My girlfriend, 20 years old, and I, 19 years old, have been dating for 10 months, and recently we've been having trouble with intimacy. I apologize for any gibberish as I'm typing this quickly on my phone. Our relationship started in an unusual way. I had just ended a bad relationship and was looking for a casual hookup. This continued for a while until I got over my past relationship. I thought my girlfriend was cool and she was genuinely nice and caring. Her best quality is her empathy and concern for others. Eventually, we developed feelings for each other and started dating. However, after we started dating, the frequency of intimacy decreased. I have a high intimacy drive, so this was a bit of a problem for me. Touch and physical affection are my primary love languages, and I feel most connected to someone through them. I only feel this way within the context of a relationship, and I consider intimacy to be the ultimate expression of love. I understand that this may not be the same for her. The sudden drop in intimacy was initially okay, because I loved her for everything else. However, what bothers me is that she doesn't understand the importance of intimacy to me. From the beginning of our relationship, she has talked a lot about her exes. At first, I didn't want to seem insecure about hearing about other guys, but there is a limit. She would mention exes without thinking it would bother me. I told her that I don't mind if she discusses past trauma from a bad ex, if it's for the sake of communication. However, I do mind when it's irrelevant to the story, and she goes into unnecessary detail about who they were, and random facts. She's not a great storyteller, but I can listen to her talk all day. Despite this, it still bothered me. What really bothered me is when she talked about intimacy. This is where our problems began. As I mentioned earlier, intimacy means a lot to me, and I want her to feel special and know that I only think of her. So, I don't talk about past relationships because I want to focus on our connection. However, she would share explicit details about previous intimacy encounters with other guys. Some of the worst examples are X1. Your weenie is the perfect size. It's big, but it doesn't hurt. My ex's was too big, and it hurt too much. She said this right after intimacy, and thought it was a compliment, not realizing how it made me feel. I'm not insecure about my size, but I didn't want to hear this after such an intimate moment. X2. She would often talk about having intimacy in adventurous places, implying that she enjoyed it. However, it turned out that she was always pressured into it and actually hated it. This bothered me because she made it seem like she was adventurous when she wasn't, just to impress me. X3. She would constantly boast about being skilled at oral intimacy due to her experience in a past long-term relationship. However, once we became official, she made it clear that she didn't like it and would only do it when asked. She would also complain about her jaw, making me feel guilty for even asking. I genuinely enjoy giving her pleasure, so it was disappointing that she made it seem like she enjoyed it when she didn't. There are other things that bother me, but these examples should give you some context. When I finally talked to her about it, she immediately understood and stopped discussing those things. However, I had already heard too much and still think about it from time to time. Now, let's get to the main problem. As soon as we started dating, her intimacy drive decreased. She told me that the reason we had a lot of intimacy before becoming official was because she would do anything to keep my attention. This hurt to hear, and she doesn't understand why it's frustrating for me. It's not that her lower intimacy drive is the problem. It's more about the fact that she portrayed herself as a highly intimacy person and disclosed this information to me. Then, after we started dating, I discovered that those encounters made her uncomfortable, and she is actually very sensitive about intimacy. She's so used to people telling her what to do that she doesn't know how to enjoy it. I just want to feel as special as she claims I am to her. It's difficult to feel that way when I'm constantly being rejected for intimacy, especially when I know how she was treated by people who didn't respect her. Am I crazy for feeling this way? Am I being overly insecure? Is this a red flag? What should I do? Should I even bring up this issue with her? This lack of intimacy has been bothering me deeply. If it were more frequent, like she initially led me to believe, it wouldn't bother me as much. However, because it's so infrequent, I feel unwanted and less valued than her previous partners. It's affecting my overall happiness in the relationship. Is it valid for me to care about this? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. It's kind of a bait and switch to act hypersexual for attention, and then drop it as soon as you start dating. I get why her history and trauma could cause this, but I just wanted to validate for you that, yeah, it kind of bites. I wouldn't really worry too much about her bringing up exes, or her failing at compliments. Understand that her not wanting as much intimacy now has nothing to do with her loving you or not. Also, non-sexual cuddling is amazing. Absolutely try it with her more. Run your hands through and play with her hair, caress her, physically cherish her without it being intimacy. If you want to make the relationship work, you'll have to understand that it may be a long time before she heals enough to have a healthy relationship with intimacy. A very, very long time. And when she does heal, she may find that she actually still just doesn't like intimacy at all. It could go either way. If you want intimacy, an open relationship is an option. Also, leaving a relationship that you were led to believe would have a lot of intimacy, when that turned out to be a farce, is also an option. She was literally driven to intimacy to try to keep your attention on her and then just felt like she could drop it as soon as you started dating. If she wants a relationship without much intimacy, she should lead with that when meeting people. If you do end up breaking up, try to stay friends and show her that she can be cared about outside of the context of intimacy and outside of the context of a romantic relationship. Comment 2. There's a lot going on here, but the bottom line is this. The two of you are not currently sexually compatible. Your girlfriend deserves all of the compassion in the world for the bad intimacy experiences she's been through. But in the context of your relationship, she deceived you. Not deliberately or with malice, but that is nonetheless what she did. This has put you in a tough spot because you're now emotionally invested in a relationship with someone with whom you are not compatible. You have to make a tough decision here. You can continue to pursue a relationship with this person, knowing you're not compatible. The two of you can do the hard work to try and bridge this gap. This is going to involve many difficult and uncomfortable conversations. And honestly, the prospects are realistically pretty grim. You'll have to assess her ability to honestly and forthrightly commit to bridging this gap with you. Is she even interested in it? Or is she more or less happy with the state of things as they are? The alternative is you end the relationship. This is hard, but you're both young. You'll get over it, and you'll both be free to find someone with whom you're more compatible. Now for the update. Thanks for sticking around for more of my story. So, a lot has happened since I last posted. Things took a turn for the worse, with my girlfriend and me. It all started when I decided to surprise her with a weekend getaway. I thought maybe a change of scenery would reignite that spark between us. We went to this cozy little cabin out in the woods. Just the two of us. No distractions. It was supposed to be perfect. The first night there, we were sitting by the fire, and I tried to initiate something. She wasn't into it and said she wasn't feeling well. I tried to hide my disappointment, but I guess not well enough because she got upset, saying I only cared about one thing. We ended up arguing, and she admitted she felt pressured to keep up a facade of being sexually adventurous because she thought that's what I wanted. That hit me hard. I realized I might have contributed to her feeling this way, even if unintentionally. The next day, we barely spoke. I tried to make things right, but it was like there was this wall between us. We went for a walk, and I slipped on some ice. I sprained my ankle pretty bad. She helped me back to the cabin, and that's when things really fell apart. While I was lying there with my ankle swelling up, she got a text. I saw her face change as she read it. I asked her what was wrong, and she hesitated before showing me the message. It was from her ex, the one she always talked about. He was going through a tough time and wanted her support. I lost it. I accused her of still having feelings for him, of lying to me about being over him. She got defensive, said she was just trying to be a good person, but I couldn't let it go. In the heat of the moment, I grabbed her phone and threw it into the fire. It was a reaction I immediately regretted. She screamed, tears streaming down her face, not because of the phone, but because of what it symbolized. I had destroyed her trust, her connection to the outside world, and any chance we had of fixing things. We spent the rest of the weekend in silence. When we got back, she packed her things and left. She said she needed space to think, to figure out if she could be with someone who didn't trust her, who could be so impulsive and destructive. I've been replaying that moment over and over in my head, wishing I could take it back. But I can't. I'm left here, alone, nursing not just a sprained ankle, but a broken heart too. I thought I was doing the right thing, trying to fix our problems, but I only made them worse. I'm not sure where we go from here. I want to believe we can get past this, but I'm scared I've ruined everything with one stupid mistake. I don't know if she'll ever forgive me or if I'll ever forgive myself. Thanks for reading. My wife ignores my opinions on trivial matters like magnets and water bottles. So I booked couples therapy and made her face our issues head on. My wife and I have been dating for 8 years and married for almost 4. We have a pretty average life for our age. No kids, a dog, good family relationships, etc. I'm definitely an overthinker, whereas my wife tends to have more knee-jerk reactions based on emotions. We can have healthy, difficult conversations, but more often than not, things tend to escalate and become unproductive. I have 2 examples that I'd like opinions on. Specifically, what could have been done better to prevent the escalation and what can be done now to resolve it. Magnet example. We're currently traveling with another couple and like to pick up magnets as a souvenir wherever we go. She had shown me a few throughout the day, but towards the end, she showed me one I didn't love. I looked at it and said, "I prefer the other ones." She kind of laughed, and after the male of the other couple complimented it, she responded with, "Well, my husband doesn't." We continued looking through the store, and the next comment I heard about the magnet was my wife talking to the other female saying, "She's definitely going to get it." This hurt my feelings, because it felt like my opinion wasn't heard or valued. I told her I thought it was a joint decision, which I could tell upset her, so I left it at that. The magnet was purchased, and then we went to the next store, while the other couple continued to shop at that store. We found a semi-private place to talk, where I started the conversation by saying, "The magnet made me a little sad." I was going to explain how I didn't feel heard, but her response to my opening was to go on a rant about how it doesn't matter. It's not a big deal, and it's annoying how I blow these things up into these big deals. I hadn't even said what bothered me, and it felt like I wasn't heard again. This made me feel worse, so I tried to tell her this wasn't kind communication, and it's not helping solve the issue or make me feel better. I don't remember if it was said here, but she often tells me it's not her job to make me feel better. I agree that it's not her job, but I told her if she feels sad or upset, it's my goal to make her feel better, because that's what people who love each other do. Water bottle example. For extra context, my wife has a problem with sharing. She often doesn't like when I drink from her water bottle, eat food she buys at the grocery store, etc. This does bother me because I would like to share most things. She often wears my jacket without me, uses my nail clippers, etc. However, on this trip, she offered me a drink from her water bottle, so I thought we were making progress. She made a comment about how I could fill it up if I'm going to use it too. So later that day, I did. I brought the bottle with me from the apartment we're staying at so we could have water while we were out. After we returned, I consciously left the bottle in the car since we were going inside to an apartment with water, and we'd only be in there for about 20 minutes. After about 2 minutes of being back, she asked where her water bottle was. I told her I left it in the car. The following conversation happened. She said, "Are you serious?" in an upset tone. "Yeah, why?" "Because I want it. Are you kidding?" "No, it's not a big deal. There's water here." "You can't tell me it's not a big deal. I want my water bottle." The female from the other couple was here as well and offered to go get it at this point. I said, "Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't think it mattered since we'd only be here for a short time. Why do you want it so bad if there's water here?" "It doesn't matter why I want it. It's my water bottle, and I want it. You took it from here and didn't put it back where you got it from." "You're right. I'm sorry. It would just help me understand your side if I knew why you wanted it here. I can go get it if you want." You don't need to understand. Okay, but it helps me. The bottle isn't lost. We know where it is. She then left to go get the bottle. Now, I admit I didn't bring the bottle back consciously, and I shouldn't have diminished her feelings by saying it wasn't a big deal. I was just trying to calm her down because it seemed like a huge overreaction. After she left, I went into the bathroom and cried because I hate fighting in front of people, and I feel so lost with us recently. No one knows I was crying. I've told her before I don't feel safe bringing things up to her because of these angry reactions. She agreed that's not right, and encouraged me to keep bringing things up. I'm struggling too because I'm losing my strength at this point. I told her these small issues don't need to be big deals, but they always blow up. She blames me, for them blowing up. I don't feel like these escalated because of me, but if I say that, she says I'm the one that's upset and she doesn't care, so I'm the one making it a big deal. These problems are really starting to weigh on me, and I don't know what to do. How can I stop things from escalating? I feel like I'm using a calm tone. I know none of this will get better without communication, but I'm constantly scared of upsetting her, so I try not to bring up small stuff and just swallow it. Should I just learn to let things go? I know it's not my strong suit, but I'm willing to try anything. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. You're definitely right about there being patterns. These examples are just recent, but represent larger issues. I did leave this part out, but if she explained to me that she really liked the magnet, I would have definitely encouraged her to get it. In the end, it's not about what magnet we get, but rather that we both agreed on something before one of us makes the decision. We do share finances, and a $5 magnet does not make or break us. But this has happened with more significant purchases. $300 Christmas trees if you're curious. I'll check the book out though. Thank you for the recommendation and insight. Comment 2. Thank you. That was all very good advice. And you inferred everything correctly. I'm not the best at turning my thoughts into words, especially when I'm worked up or being yelled at. I also realized how confusing my quote was about her definitely getting it. Those weren't someone else's words, she told the other wife. I'm definitely getting the magnet. That was poor wording and quotation marks on my part, I'm sorry. Now for the update. Thanks for all the comments on my last post. They really gave me a lot to think about. So, this week has been pretty up and down. Remember the magnet incident? Well, it sparked a whole new level of tension between us. We were at dinner with our friends, the same couple from the magnet store, and my wife brought up the magnet again, laughing about how I overreact to things. I tried to keep my cool, but I felt so embarrassed. I didn't say anything at the time, but later that night I told her how her comment made me feel. She brushed it off, saying I was too sensitive. The next day, things got worse. We were supposed to go on a hike, but my wife insisted on taking a different trail than the one we had planned. I wanted to stick to the original plan, but she wouldn't have it. We argued, and in the heat of the moment, she decided to go on the hike alone. I was stunned. Our friends were caught in the middle, unsure of what to do. They ended up going with her, and I stayed behind, feeling abandoned. While she was gone, I had a lot of time to think. I remembered how, when we first started dating, she loved my thoughtful nature. But now it seems like she sees it as a flaw. I've always been the one to try and smooth things over, but it's like she doesn't see the effort I put in to make things right. When she came back from the hike, she acted like nothing happened, but I couldn't shake off the feeling of isolation. The next few days were awkward. We were polite to each other, but the warmth was gone. Our friends noticed and tried to mediate, but it only made things more strained. Then, 2 days ago, we had a big blowout. It was over something silly, a restaurant choice. But it wasn't really about the restaurant. It was about all the pent-up frustrations. She said some things that really hurt, and I couldn't hold back my own anger. For the first time, I raised my voice. I told her I felt like she didn't respect me, and she countered by saying I was too controlling. That night, we slept in separate rooms. The next morning, she was gone. She left a note saying she needed space and would be staying with her sister. I was shocked. I didn't see it coming. Our friends were just as surprised and worried about what this meant for our future. I've been trying to reach out to her, but she's not ready to talk. I feel like I'm walking on eggshells. trying to figure out how to approach this without making things worse. I've been talking to her sister, who says she's just as confused about what my wife wants. I'm at a loss. I don't know if I should keep trying to communicate or give her the space she asked for. It's hard because I miss her, but I also feel so much resentment. I've been talking to a friend about it, and he suggested maybe we need couples therapy. I'm considering it, but I don't even know if she'd be willing to go. I've been spending a lot of time with our dog, who seems to sense that something's wrong. It's comforting in a way, but also sad because it's a reminder of what's missing. I've been trying to keep busy, but everything feels empty without her. I'm scared about what the future holds. I never thought we'd be in this place. I always believed we could work through anything, but now I'm not so sure. I just hope we can find a way back to each other before it's too late. Thanks for reading. My boyfriend cheats with a soccer teammate for months. So I dump him and score the winning goal against his new team. My boyfriend and I have been together for about 8 months, and I haven't suspected anything going on in the background until recently. Before we started dating, he seemed very into this girl that we play co-ed soccer with. He makes a point of beelining to her the second she walks into the arena and talks to her every chance he gets. I asked him if he had a thing for her, or did he ever have a thing with her, and he said no. Since then, whenever I have been around, he hasn't talked to her that much. However, I played a soccer tournament with her the other weekend, and she had no idea we were together. He had never spoken about me to her before, which I found rather odd. I'm not suggesting he has done anything with her, but there are visible moments where it seems he's very into other women and pursues it a bit. Now fast forward to last night, his Snapchat location was showing him behind a subdivision at about 10:30 p.m. between the back of the houses and where the golf course is. He said that he was in bed all last night and just playing games on his computer. Then today, he was in a similar spot before going to the grocery store and the gym. His last location was at the gym, where he turned that off at 11:15 a.m. And when I called him around 1 p.m., he said he was just on his way home, which is incredibly longer than he ever spends at the gym. I asked him what took so long, and he said he was grocery shopping for a while, assuming that I hadn't seen his location and saw he was at the gym. Since he was at the gym, his location has been off, something he only did once before and did it for maybe a day or two, before we were really officially together. He's never taken it off since. I have never asked for it to be on and never made a point of having it. But the last few days have seemed strange. We always hang out on Friday nights, barring any odd circumstances. Tonight I asked him if he wanted me to bring him food home, since he would be working a little later tonight. And he said he was tired and just wanted to chill by himself tonight. I was like, oh, okay, no problem. I just figured we would hang out since it is Friday. He was like, yeah, well, of course I want to see you, but I woke up kind of tired today and have work tomorrow, which has never been an issue before. I am just trying to determine if I am reading into this way too much. Maybe he is tired and just didn't want people seeing his location on Snapchat maps. Or just realized he has had it on this whole time without realizing. He works from home and basically doesn't do anything, so he can be out and about all day. And I am trying to figure out if maybe I have missed something. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. It really isn't the point that he took longer, more so the events leading up to it. I really don't care if he spends all day there or at the grocery store. He does what he wants during the day despite supposed to be working, which again I let him do what he wants. I just wanted to get a feel of the events leading up to this case, felt off, or again maybe just a coincidence of events. I am generally too trusting and too easily forgiving, in which I have been burned in the past. I thought I would get some other perspectives on the situation. Comment 2. To me, it sounds like he's banging the other girl behind that lot, maybe in a car, and is turning off his location services more and for longer now that you confronted him about it. It's possible now that the girl heard you and him were a thing and decided now she wants him as before she didn't see the value in him. Some women have a tendency to go after others' partners when they otherwise wouldn't, when the male is single. Gut feelings, vibes, can sometimes have a way of being right. At the very least, vibes are off, Something is happening. Now for the update. Thanks for sticking around. A lot has happened since the last post. So remember how I was getting weird vibes from my boyfriend about his behavior and his Snapchat location? Turns out, my gut feeling was right. The girl from soccer, let's call her Soccer Girl, she's been popping up more frequently. My boyfriend, he's been sneaky, and I caught him red-handed. He wasn't just chatting with her at soccer. They were meeting up behind the subdivision, the same spot his Snapchat kept showing. I confronted him, and he tried to lie his way out of it, saying they were just friends catching up. But friends don't sneak around and lie about where they've been. I was fuming, but I kept it together. I needed to know how deep this rabbit hole went. Then, one of my friends, who's always had it out for me for some reason, decided to stir the pot. She knew about my boyfriend's wandering eye and decided to help by sending me pictures of him and Soccer Girl looking cozy at a local bar. She said she thought I should know. It felt like a slap in the face, not just from him, but from her too. She enjoyed delivering the bad news a little too much. I was a mess, but I had to confront him again. This time, he couldn't deny it. He admitted to seeing her for a couple of months. Said he was confused about his feelings. I didn't stick around to hear the rest of his excuses. I packed up his stuff and left it outside my door. But the drama didn't end there. Soccer Girl had a boyfriend who didn't take kindly to finding out about their secret meetings. He showed up at my place, thinking I was part of the deceit. It took a lot of convincing and showing him the messages for him to calm down and realize I was just as much a victim in this as he was. The aftermath was messy. My now ex-boyfriend tried to apologize, but I wasn't having any of it. Soccer Girl and her boyfriend broke up too, and she tried to reach out to me to explain, but I blocked her. I didn't need her excuses, and my so-called friend, she got a taste of her own medicine when her boyfriend dumped her. Turns out, he couldn't trust someone who took pleasure in other people's pain. She came to me looking for sympathy, but I shut her down. I had enough of fake friends and cheaters. I've been laying low since then, focusing on myself. I joined a new soccer team, one without any drama, and I've been spending time with people who have my back, no matter what. Thanks for reading. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.